In today's video, we're going to recap the rest of the NHL trade deadline activity. Of course, we did a lot of videos earlier today, but now we're going to recap a lot of the last-minute deals that came in either at or after the deadline had passed. Tonight, we're talking about Bruins captain Brad Marchand on his way to Florida. The Bruins have also moved Brendan Carlo to the Toronto Maple Leafs. We got a Fabian Zetterlund heading to Ottawa. Several other moves as well, including Buffalo, Pittsburgh, other deals involving Columbus, Utah, and a whole lot more, plus a few signings, including a big contract for Wyatt Johnson in Dallas. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a ton more news to discuss. There was a lot of last-minute trades that came in at or around the deadline. I figured it might be best just to wait, get all the details, and kind of recap the remainder of the deals that we haven't already discussed here on the channel today. There's, I think, 3, 4, 5 videos on the channel. Okay, I've kind of lost track here. Lots of big deals discussed in prior videos, but today the biggest one, and for this one, is going to be Brad Marchand. Marchand leaves the Bruins, heading to Florida. Can you imagine that? Marchand is going to be basically with a trio of rats that can have the rat line with Marchand, Bennett, and Matthew Tkachuk. It's going to be a little bit crazy. But the Bruins, I think they didn't get a great return. They get a conditional second-round pick, and it can be upgraded to a first under the conditions of the Panthers winning at least 2 rounds in the playoffs, and Marchand has to appear in at least half the games. If that happens, then it goes from a second rounder to a first. But the thing here is even though Marchand, he had trade protection in his contract, he was only, I think he had an 8-team no trade, modified no trade. But the thing is that they want to do right by him, and they want to make sure he was happy with the deal. So I believe they talked to him and got a list of where he would go, where would he be happy, since believed that Florida was right at the top of that list. So clearly they didn't have a lot of leverage here, which is why the return isn't better. I see a lot of Bruins fans complaining that the return is comparable to what the Penguins got for Anthony Beauvillier, but at the same time, it's not. It's a different scenario, really is. So the Bruins eat half of his contract, 50% retained, and conditional second rounder is the return. Marchand will be an unrestricted free agent. He more than likely doesn't stay in Florida. I don't know how they would be able to afford to keep him down there. Some people are already suspecting, could he go back to Boston? Hard to say. I really don't know what the future holds for Marchand beyond this season. The Bruins were busy. They kind of really tore down their team here. Of course, we've seen some other trades before this, including Charlie Coyle going to the Avalanche, and then Marchand. They traded Brendan Carlo to the Toronto Maple Leafs in a big deal, which gets them a pretty good return. They retained 15% of Carlo's contract. And in return, the Leafs send top prospect centerman Fraser Minton, a 2025 4th-round pick, and a top 5 protected first-round pick in 2026. So the Bruins have done well here with getting some picks, which they're desperate for. At the same time, this is a team that has gone for it many, many times and are always putting all their cards in the middle here, making acquisitions to try to win the Stanley Cup. So they don't have a deep prospect pool. I'm not sure what their plans will be. I mean, maybe they'll use some of these picks to pick up other players in the offseason too. It's hard to say, but they're definitely going through, I don't think we can call it a rebuild in Boston, but definitely a retool for sure. This team is going to look extremely different. I mean, look at some of the moves they made last offseason and then going into this year. Like I said, we've had Bergeron and Krejci retire not long ago. Now Marchand's gone. Carlo's gone. Jake DeBrusk left as a free agent last offseason. It's a very, very different looking Boston Bruins team. Another Bruins trade as well saw Mark McLaughlin going to New Jersey for defenseman Daniil Misiul. I think that's all for the Bruins trades. As the other ones we had already talked about in other videos today. Actually, one other trade involving Boston. I'm not done with the Bruins just yet. I correct myself. The Buffalo Sabres trade defenseman Henry Yokoharu to the Bruins for a 2026 4th-rounder. So they do bring in another defenseman to take some of the spots there that were opened up today. Another trade involving Ottawa, which was another, to me, one of the under the radar, one of the best deals of the day. This might go down as a long-term deal here that is going to make this team better. Of course, we saw the Senators and Sabres pull off a big trade earlier with Dylan Cousins and Dennis Gilbert coming over from Buffalo for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard-Docker. I think the Sens fan base was emotionally a little bit wrecked, but at the same time, I understand that long term it could make the team better. But this trade, I think everybody was happy with from the get-go, getting Fabian Zetterlund from San Jose, along with a prospect centerman and Tristan Robbins and a 2025 fourth rounder for Noah Gregor, Zach Ostapchuk, and a 2025 second. So Zetterlund, to me, he's a pending RFA. There was already negotiations between his agent, who was Claude Lemieux, with the Sharks, and they were not getting anywhere, and believed that they were maybe going to end up moving Zetterlund in the offseason anyways, because of, I guess, differences of opinion on contract. But Zetterlund, he's got speed, he's got a wicked shot, and I think he could be a player that really fits well with a guy like Timmy Stützle. Now, they may not for sure play him that high in the lineup right away, but if you look at what they've lost recently when they traded like Matthew Joseph, well, they get some of that speed back, but different kind of player. This guy's got a little bit more offensive upside. You know, he can, I think he can be 20-plus goal scorer, maybe more with a guy like Stützle. If you look at how they normally do their top six, it's going to look a little bit different now with some of the changes that we've seen today, but it could be a very under-the-radar kind of guy who can play in multiple spots in the top nine, give you some speed, and give you some ability to score. So I think really great deal there for the Sens. We've also seen Carolina add Predators. Mark Jankowski comes over, a small deal, 2025 fifth rounder. The Kraken traded Daniel Sprong again to the Devils for a seventh rounder in 2026. The Penguins traded Cody Glass and John Gruden to the Devils for Chase Stillman, Max Graham, and a third rounder, so nothing real major going on with these guys. The Rangers traded defenseman Eric Brandstrom. He's on the move yet again, going to Buffalo. So he'll join some of his former teammates there, and Bernard Docker and Norris, who just ended up in Buffalo today as well, for Nicholas Aubé-Kubel. The Leafs, part of what they were doing with making the Carlo trade work, is they had to move a few other contracts, trading Connor Dewar and Connor Timmins, both to the Penguins, to free up some salary cap space, and Max Pacioretty also had to go on LTIR as well. So I suspect he'll likely be there for the remainder of the season. The Philadelphia Flyers moved Eric Johnson to the Avalanche, so he's back with the Avs again for Giovanni Smith. We saw Utah trade the Shea Weber contract, who of course we know Weber's not coming back to the NHL anytime soon. They traded the Weber contract along with Aku Ratu and the rights to Victor Soderstrom for a 2026 fifth rounder with the Blackhawks. So again, that contract gets moved. CBJ, Columbus acquires Luke Kunin from the Sharks for a fourth round pick in 2025. And I think we've covered between all the videos. I think we've covered it all here now. A couple of big contracts as well. Wyatt Johnson, a 5-year extension with the Stars, $8.4 million. And the Rangers extended defenseman Urho Vakanainen, who they acquired in the last couple of days here as well. 2-year deal at $1.55. So great contract for Johnson and the Stars. They're going to be a real force to be reckoned with. They might be, the on paper, at least the best team in the Western Conference right now. But hard to imagine Brad Marchand in a Panther uniform teaming up with guys like Kachuk and Bennett. That's going to be a crazy sight for sure. Florida is going to be one of the top teams going forward here yet again as well. So that recaps all the trades. I am going to be coming back with another video. If not tonight, then early tomorrow, recapping kind of everything that's kind of went down, looking at our winners and losers of the deadline day, which teams did the best and which teams didn't do so well and missed out on some key opportunities. So let me know your thoughts on these moves down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.